The grand ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers, alive with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft hum of music. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, her birthday. Dressed in an elegant white gown, the CEO's daughter sat quietly. In her wheelchair, her warm smile hiding the pain of the whispers around her. Guests in glittering gowns and sharp suits exchanged glances, their mocking eyes lingering a little too long. Some didn't even bother to lower their voices. They thought her life had limits, that she was nothing but a shadow in her father's world. But among the crowd was someone unexpected, a man whose presence commanded attention without a single word. Tall, confident, and with the air of someone who could change everything, he seemed to notice what others ignored. While the room brimmed with judgment, his gaze held something else entirely. And when he stepped forward, the chatter faltered. People turned, sensing something about to happen. Her heart pounded, unsure whether to feel fear or hope. No one could have predicted what he would say next or how. In a single moment, this night would turn from humiliation to something far more unforgettable. The question was, would she believe it? Just hours earlier, she had begged her father to keep the party small, fearing the stares and whispered comments that always seemed to follow her. But as the CEO of a powerful company, he believed appearances mattered, and this was a chance to show the world his daughter still belonged at the center of it all. The guest list was filled with influential figures, business partners, socialites, and a handful of so-called friends who smiled politely while hiding sharper words behind champagne glasses. She had grown used to the polite pity, but tonight felt different. The way some guests laughed when they thought she couldn't hear. The sidelong glances as if her wheelchair somehow defined her hit all cut deeper than usual. Her father moved through the room with practiced charm, unaware of the small cruelties happening just a few steps away. And then there was him, the man, who seemed to watch her, not with pity, but with curiosity and something else she couldn't name. He wasn't on the official guest list, yet people parted when he walked by. Whispers followed him, but not the mocking kind. Whoever he was, his arrival shifted the air in the room, as if he carried the power to change the course of the night. Her fingers tightened around the edge of her chair as the conversations around her grew sharper. A pair of women in glittering gowns stood nearby, their voices just low enough to pretend discretion. "She only gets attention because of her father's money," one murmured. The other smirked. No one would look twice otherwise. The words stung, but she forced her gaze forward, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing her flinch. Across the room, the mysterious man spoke briefly with one of her father's associates, his expression unreadable. It was clear he was no ordinary guest. There was a weight in his presence, a quiet authority that even the most arrogant socialites didn't dare challenge. Yet he kept glancing her way, as though studying a puzzle no one else noticed. Meanwhile, her father was being pulled into a heated discussion with a board member about a risky merger. The tension between them was obvious, but their voices were drowned out by the music. The night seemed to be splintering into separate currents, whispers of business deals, subtle rivalries among the guests, and a growing undercurrent that something significant was about to unfold. She could feel it in the way people's eyes shifted, as if waiting for a moment none of them could predict. The air in the ballroom seemed to shift, the golden glow from the chandeliers feeling heavier, almost pressing down on the room. She noticed more guests turning their attention toward her, their whispers no longer masked by polite smiles. A man near the dessert table chuckled under his breath, shaking his head as if her very presence was a kind of spectacle. The knot in her stomach tightened. She wanted to disappear, but every movement felt magnified under their eyes. Then, without warning, the mysterious man began walking toward her. Conversations faltered as he crossed the polished floor, his steps steady, his gaze locked on hers. People moved aside instinctively, creating a path without realizing it. She could hear her heart beat over the music, each beat louder than the last. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw her father noticing the scene, his expression shifting from confusion to concern. The women who had mocked her earlier leaned closer to each other, their faces lit with a thrill of incoming drama. The man finally stopped in front of her, the silence around them so deep it was as if the entire room held its breath. And then he reached into his jacket. Gasps rippled through the crowd as his hand emerged, not with the expected champagne glass or polite greeting, but holding a small velvet box. The guests nearest to them exchanged wide-eyed glances, unsure if they were about to witness something romantic or scandalous. She froze, her breath caught, unable to make sense of why this stranger would single her out in such a public way. Before he could speak, the ballroom doors burst open. A sharply dressed man strode in, his presence just as commanding, but his expression was anything but calm. Whispers spread instantly. This was Adrian Holt, a billionaire investor known for reshaping entire industries, and the last person anyone expected here tonight. He didn't look at the birthday girl first. His eyes locked on the man standing before her, his tone cutting through the silence. "You didn't think I'd let you make this move without me knowing, did you?" The man with the box didn't flinch, but the tension between them was palpable, like two storms colliding. Guests leaned in, drawn by the unspoken history between them. She could feel the room's energy shift again. The air charged with something bigger than she could yet understand, and somehow she was at the center of it all. The man with the velvet box stepped closer to her, his voice calm but firm. "I came here tonight because I refuse to let people define you by their ignorance." The crowd murmured, unsure whether to applaud or hold their breath. He turned briefly toward Adrian, his eyes narrowing. "And I'm not here to negotiate, Holt. I'm here for her." Her pulse raced as he dropped to one knee, the entire room frozen in anticipation. "From the moment I met you," he said softly, "I saw strength where others saw limits. And tonight, I want everyone here to know you are the one I choose." He opened the box, revealing a ring that caught the light in a dazzling spark. Gasps echoed through the ballroom, some in shock, others in awe. Adrian's smirk returned. "Then you should know she's also the woman I've been searching for." The crowd erupted with confusion, heads turning between the two men. Her father stepped forward, startled, his voice breaking the tension. "What is going on?" She looked between them, realizing both men weren't strangers at all but connected by a past she never knew. And in that moment, she understood this proposal was more than love. It was a choice that would change everything. The room seemed to hold its breath as she stared at both men, the weight of the moment pressing down like the chandelier's glow. Above her, slowly, she spoke, her voice steady. "This is my life and my choice. No one will make it for me." The words cut through the tension, leaving silence in their wake. She turned to the man with the ring, her eyes softening. "You saw me, not the chair. For that, I'm grateful." Then she looked at Adrian, her expression unreadable. "And you? You've been chasing something you didn't understand." Her father stepped closer, pride in his eyes. "That's my daughter," he said quietly, loud enough for the nearest guests to hear. Around them, the whispers shifted, no longer mocking, but filled with curiosity and even respect. She accepted the proposal, not for the spectacle, but because it felt right in her heart. The applause that followed was genuine, the earlier cruelty replaced by something warmer. Adrian simply nodded, as if conceding a battle he hadn't truly lost. As the music swelled again, she realized this night had given her more than a proposal. It had given her a voice, and in that moment she knew no one would ever silence it again.